Hey everybody, welcome back to the Centaur Fragrance channel. Thank you so much for stopping by today. My name is Benjamin, and I review fragrances, colognes, perfumes, and all things scent related. So if you want to get the best value for your money, get the best fragrances for the price, just learn about fragrances, everything from their notes and where they came from, and join me on a fragrance journey. You've come to the right place today. So let's jump into this fragrance house. This is kind of a part two. This is the final review of each one of these fragrances. Now, I did, again, a first impressions. I will link in the description below for y'all to watch. But today we're going to talk about each one of these fragrances from Happyland Studios. Now, I will say in full disclosure that I was sent these for review, but that doesn't impact my, my opinion, and I will always be completely honest with y'all. So let's talk about these fragrances, and let's talk about them today. So the first one I want to share with y'all is probably one that is battling for number one. The first place for me, the other one that's fighting for number one is the last fragrance, so stick around to the end of the video. But this one, Happyland Signature, is a special fragrance. It is kind of like an interpretation. Real quick, if I was to give you an idea how this smelled, if you took Dolce & Gabbana the one, the EDT, with the ginger, with that soft, a little bit of that soft leather, how sweet that fragrance is, a little bit of that soft spicy, and you said, I want to make a more mature, more gourmand interpretation of that DNA. That's what you're getting here. There's a little bit of an animalic twist. Some people say this smells like blueberry pie. Some people say this smells kind of like an apple pie. For me, it's kind of like you got a blueberry scone and put that on top of an apple pie that maybe was a half day old. For some reason, they didn't eat it all, real quick. So that's what I'm getting here. There's a little bit of a gourmand nature. There's definitely that mature, kind of Tom Ford-esque vibe, mysterious, sultry, even being a really attractive fragrance, especially for you mature men out there. Now, if you're a mature man, if you're like vintage fragrances, the green fragrances, if you like the oak moss, the things of the past, like polo green, and you've never liked a gourmand before, if you've never found one that you've loved, I think that this is for you. This is definitely not a fragrance I'm saying that's old. I'm saying that it has this dignified, reserved quality about it. Just like all of these fragrances. For a younger guy, especially for a teenager, I don't think that this brand really is going to speak to them in the style of the fragrance. But this one is so happy. It's so very easy to wear, but it still has a dignified, and kind of attractive nature about it. I really love the animalic twist. I love when fragrances have that animalic, just a slight touch to the fragrance that really does something special. Really love Agnes, I'll shout her out real quick, and the review she just did of this fragrance. So, let me spray it real quick in the air. It's just so playful, but yet so mature, and again, kind of seductive. It's a really nice fragrance. I haven't worn this too much myself because the fall is coming up, and I think that this is a fall and maybe winter fragrance. All of these fragrances have really strong performance. I get a solid just about 8 hours, and just about with each one of these fragrances, projection is good to excellent, and the sillage is about the same. Excellent. The sillage is crazy, really. And this fragrance, for me, I sound like I'm hyping it. I might sound like I'm not being genuine, but it's wonderful. It really speaks to me. And Happyland Signature, it might just be my favorite. So check it out. Look up the notes. I'll include the notes here below for y'all. Each one of these fragrances are so well blended that's really hard to pick out the notes. So you really have to talk about the accords, how the fragrance makes you feel, and of course, what kind of results you get with this fragrance. Every time I've worn this fragrance around people, they were kind of blown away. It's a sweet gourmand, so it seems kind of playful. And yet, again, it has a little bit of that animalic and a little bit of that seductive nature. So, an amazing fragrance, and it really does pull in the compliments and positive attention. I think that all of these fragrances are really kind of for, nice casual clothes or maybe even dressed up. Don't think this fragrance does very well with a t-shirt and jeans, but you can rock it if you'd like. So, a wonderful fragrance, really check it out. The next one I have to talk about real quick is none other than Barbershop. Now, some people say that this is just a barbershop fragrance, and for me, the real thing highlighted here is a leather. And the leather here is kind of like a fresh, raw leather. It's very nice. It has a little bit of its character. It holds on to it. If you were to get like a fresh leather belt or something, it smells a little bit raw, but not too much. And the freshness of the leather is definitely there in this fragrance. In the dry down, you notice the really interesting kind of green nature, the fougere or barbershop kind of qualities start coming through. Really interesting light, you know, green kind of accords in this fragrance. It's so well blended. I do get a little bit of almost a medicinal vibe with the green in this fragrance, but it's very well done. It's pleasant. It's a joy to wear. This is definitely for the masculine men out there. If you like your classic leather fragrances, maybe your Stetsons and the like, this is far better than that. And you're going to get something that has serious performance and something that is, again, kind of a fusion of the old and the new. So Barbershop is a remarkable fragrance for that. Really, if you like vintage fragrances, or if you want a gift for your dad or your grandpa, I think that this is definitely one of the best fragrances that you could gift to that kind of person. It smells fantastic. It really does, and is really interesting. So definitely check this one out. It's not my personal favorite. I'm going to do reviews at the very end with numbers, you know, 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. So stay tuned for that at the very end of the video too. I'll include the notes here. A fantastic fragrance, you got to check it out. The next one is Plum Loco. Now, I have a really odd way of sometimes picking the fragrances that I'm the most interested in, and then I become the least interested in it. This fragrance is a great fragrance by all means, and it has really good and really interesting performance as well. But it just didn't speak to my character. What you're getting is kind of this, it's called Plum Loco, as y'all can see. And it is crazy with the plum. It has a lot of plum. It's a fresh plum, kind of like the skin of a plum. It has almost, again, this interesting raw patchouli-like DNA. So interesting. It's like the skin of a plum. I don't get a really juicy plum. I don't get a very sweet plum out of this fragrance. But perhaps that's a really good thing, because this fragrance still, again, has that sophisticated, reserved nature to it. It's never too much. It's never too sweet. It's never going to get cloying, really. And perhaps that was the intention. It's a really nice fragrance. It just has this reserved nature. It almost smells like ombre leather in a way, but a little bit less fresh, and has that interesting, like, you know, the skin of a plum. So a really interesting fragrance. Again, if you've ever just picked up a fresh plum and just smelled its skin, there's something remarkable and something special about that, and I've never seen that captured in a fragrance before, and I'm not just saying that. So a really interesting fragrance. Really is probably the most linear out of them all, but as it develops, the kind of the projection kind of changes. This one seems on me to project the least after the opening, but it really hangs on for a really, really long time and has a lot of sillage, and this stuff is definitely a very good fragrance. So check out Plum Loco again if you wanted something interesting for. So the next one I have to share with y'all is Blue Fire. Now, this is the one that's really battling for number one place. The number one in the collection that I've smelled so far. Happyland Blue Fire. What can I say about this fragrance? You get strawberries. For me, the strawberries smell more like strawberry juice, which it kind of quickly loses that really sharp fruity nature and becomes kind of more of like a mellow sweetness. You're getting a lot of ambergris in this fragrance, but this ambergris is more of like skin-like. It becomes a little bit more on the musky side instead of the salty side. And it's a wonderful fragrance, it really is. It's so easy to wear, it's so versatile. It stands up to the heat. This fragrance can be worn by anybody and everybody. And of course, I think that this fragrance has a little bit of a similarity to Baccarat Rouge 540 with that cotton sugar or that kind of like rock sugar kind of vibe going on. It's definitely kind of sweet and a little bit more playful. This fragrance is a little bit more for the younger audience, so definitely check this one out if that sounds more appealing to you. So, Blue Fire is so fun though. It has an interesting take. This one too almost has like this herbal nature, almost, but it's just so playful, so nice. And I really do think that if you really, as a guy and you're a mature guy, and you've always disliked fruity fragrances and, you know, modern fragrances that smell like candy or anything sweet, that this is one that really can convert you. This one might just change your mind with ambergris and with fruity accords just in general. So Happyland Blue Fire is one that I truly I enjoy. It's hard to dislike this fragrance, and trust me, it's a compliment magnet. It's compliments galore, just like Happyland Signature. All these fragrances really can do you a fantastic job. Again, I can't overstate that these fragrances do have a maturity about them, but they're very versatile, and they are somewhat mass appealing, but again, there is a sophistication about them. So overall, with my ratings, I'm going to give Happyland, for me personally, is a 8.5 out of 5. I mean, 8.5 out of 10. It's a remarkable fragrance. I really do like it, and it speaks to me. I love the animalic twist on this fragrance, and I was tempted to buy, you know, Dolce & Gabbana the one at some point, but I don't think I'll ever need that anymore. So check out this one, Happyland Signature. For me personally, barbershop doesn't speak to me. This is not my personal style of fragrance, but I know some guys out there who love this style of fragrance. It's all they want to wear, and this is going to be all they ever dreamed of. Again, if you like those light, you know, kind of mature leather fragrances that are a fresh leather, you're really going to love this. For me, this is probably a 7.5, but it's so well done, and there's serious performance out of this. I'm really tempted to just give it an 8 out of 10, so check this one out too. Plum Loco, for me personally, again, this is my opinion, very objective. I personally wanted something in the dry down. I wanted something for this fragrance to perhaps become a little bit darker, or this fragrance to become a little bit fresher. This fragrance for me is kind of in limbo, where I don't know when to wear this fragrance unless I'm indoors in a very sophisticated, you know, temperature controlled environment. It would work remarkably well for that. It can be dressed up very well. For me though, this has got to be probably a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.5 out of 10, but it's very well done. You're getting really good concentration with these fragrances. The performance is definitely here. So definitely check out Plum Loco. Again, it wasn't what I was expected, and it's not for me personally, but it's a really good fragrance. Nonetheless, don't let me discourage you from trying this house. The last one is Blue Fire. Now, Blue Fire is something that changed my world. I wanted to like Baccarat Rouge 540. I wanted to appreciate that fragrance, but it wasn't for me. I've talked about that a little bit before. I find it a little bit more on the feminine side. It's a unisex fragrance. That's just my opinion. But other people around me find Baccarat Rouge 540 more on the feminine side as well. This one takes it into the unisex direction. Both guys and gals can definitely pull this off. It's a dream come true, really. And this is, for me, it doesn't smell like perfection from the nozzle, but on the skin as it dries down, this is pretty much perfection. For what it is and the performance, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. This is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection now. For the late spring and the summer, this is a real winner and a real banger with performance and compliment. The compliment factor is crazy with this fragrance. So thank y'all so much for being here today, and watching this review of each one of these fragrances. I really appreciate your time and considering this house. EJ is a fantastic guy. He's very generous and a very kind guy. I really appreciate his work, what he's doing with the fragrance community, and his creations in the future. We really do need a perfumer and a fragrance house that creates fragrances like this. You know, fragrances that speak to, you know, everybody, not just the, you know, the young and the trendy or the androgynous, even though nothing is wrong with, you know, those kinds of things. This is a fragrance house that speaks to both the old or the, you know, mature and to the young. These fragrances really speak to the classic fragrance lover. So thank you all so much for being here today. Again, I hope that I earned your like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know if I did in the comment section below. Let me know if you like this review and if you like this video just in general. Of course, I hope that you will come back, and I upload both Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please hit that notification bell to never miss out on an episode. But please come back to the channel because sometimes notifications don't seem to work on YouTube. So thank y'all so much for being here today. This has been the Centaur Fragrance channel. I really do enjoy getting to know and chatting with each one of y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Of course, wear what you love. And Blue Fire for me is a dream come true. And I'll see y'all next time. And bye.